morning everyone, dear students. Today I discuss about the testing of hypothesis 1. So come to the main point about the discussion. What is hypothesis? So in modern theory, a probability plays a very important role in decision making. The branch of statistics which helps us in arriving the criteria for such decision is known as testing of hypothesis. This statement is given by Newman and Pearson. Develop this theory of testing of hypothesis and employs statistical techniques to arrive at decision in certain situation where there is an element of uncertainty. So again I repeat, the inductive interference is based on deciding about the characteristic of the population on the basis of the sample study. Such decision involves the risk of taking inaccurate decision. For example, a pharmaceutical concern may be interested to find if a new drug is effective for the particular disease, say in reducing blood pressure. So, as per Newman and Pearson, implies a statistical techniques to arrive at decision in certain situation where there is an element of uncertainty. So, what is a statistical hypothesis? A statistical hypothesis in some statement which may or may not be true about a population. If the hypothesis completely specify the population, then it is known as simple hypothesis. Otherwise, it is composite hypothesis. So, came to the main point. What are the characteristics of a hypothesis? So, come to the main point. Hypothesis must possess the following characteristic. First one, hypothesis should be clear and precise. If the hypothesis is not clear and precise, then the inference drawn on its basis cannot be taken as reliable. Point number 2. Hypothesis should be capable of being tested. In a swamp of unstable hypothesis, untestable hypothesis, may at time the research program have bogged down. Some prior study may be done by researchers in order to make hypothesis is testable one. So a hypothesis is testable if other deduction can be made from it which it turns can be confirmed or disapproved by observation. In third point, hypothesis should be a state relationship between variables if it happens to be a relation hypothesis. Point number 4, hypothesis should be limited in a scope and must be specified. A researcher must remember that narrower hypotheses are generally more testable, and he should be develop such hypotheses. The next and the 5 point, hypothesis should be stated as far as possible in most simple terms so that the same is easily understandable by all concerned. But one must remember that simplicity of hypothesis has nothing to do with its significance. The next and sixth hypothesis characteristic property is hypothesis should be consistent with most known facts. That is, it must be consistent with a substantial body of established facts. In other words, it should be one which judges accept as being the most likely. The next point is, that is 7th point, hypothesis should be amenable to testing within a reasonable time. One should not use even an excellent hypothesis if the same cannot be tested in reasonable time, for one cannot spend a lifetime collecting data to test it. सपोज आप हाइपोथेसिस के लिए कोई डेटा कलेक्शन करना शुरू कर दिए, रीजनेबल टाइम में वो डेटा आपका आना चाहिए. ऐसा ना हो कि हाइपोथेसिस कलेक्शन करने के में आपको लंबे समय तक लगे या जिंदगी भर आप हाइपोथेसिस एक ही मानकर जिंदगी भर आप डेटा कलेक्शन करते रहे. सो if the same cannot be tested in reasonable time, for one cannot be spend lifetime collecting data to test it. हम जिंदगी भर लाइफ टाइम डेटा कलेक्ट करने के लिए एक ही हाइपोथेसिस को कंसीडर नहीं करते. The next and last is, hypothesis must explain the facts that give rise to the need for explanation. This means that by using the hypothesis plus other known and accepted generalization, one should be able to deduce the original problem condition. Thus, hypothesis must actually explain what it claims to explain. It should have empirical reference. So, these are the characteristic properties of a statistical hypothesis. Again, I repeat, a statistical hypothesis is some statement which may or may not be true about a population. If the hypothesis completely specifies the population, then it is known as simple hypothesis. Otherwise, it is composite hypothesis. So, hypothesis must possess the following characteristic property. Like I already discussed, point 1 to point 8. These are the characteristic property of the statistical hypothesis. Okay? Any question? Any queries? No. Okay, thank you.